Hey guys, JH6 and welcome to the channel. I really appreciate you guys watching. Now, this is going to be the third episode that I do here on the radio show, and a lot of you guys are watching it. A lot of you guys are giving good feedback. I really appreciate that. Just if you guys keep liking these videos and keep wanting me to do these videos, let me know and then we'll continue. But so far it's doing well, and I really appreciate it, guys. I know they are a little bit longer, but it allows me to explain. It allows me to go into a pretty good discussion about different things. So that's definitely good. The bad part is that a lot of you guys got to make time to listen to me talk, and I know a lot of you guys do it at work, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but or a lot of you guys do it while you're driving or something. I don't know what's the deal, but anyways, I really appreciate you guys watching. So a couple of days ago, I put a video out talking about 5 reasons why to bug out, why to have a bug out plan. In that video, I talked about different reasons, and I also talk about the fact that you should have a bug out plan, definitely, even though you're not going to use it. And I do recommend you guys to bug in, but you should have a bug out plan just in case something happens. You want to be prepared for anything that could happen, so you want to have that bug out plan in case something happened. Now, one of you guys gave me a question, which I'm trying to get. So one of you guys got me a question. It was a pretty interesting question, and something that I have talked about in the past as well. And it's pretty much, how do you move as a group, or with your family? How do you do that? Moving by yourself could be easier than moving with a group or moving with a family. Now, there's a lot of advantages and disadvantages when it comes to multiple sides. Now, if you move by yourself, you're only responsible for yourself. So the faster you are, the better trained you are, the more guns you have, the better shooter you are, the better physical fitness you have. It's going to be the higher survival, I guess, possibility that you may have. But at the same time, it's just you. You don't have anybody else watching you 6. So if you go to sleep, right there could be a vulnerability. If regular things, guys, like if you're using the bathroom, you don't have nobody to watch over you while you taking care of business. So that may be a vulnerability. Now, at the same time, moving as a group, now you have some advantages because you have other people that have different capabilities and different issues that may help you. But at the same time, you may have some disadvantages because you may have children, you may have elderly people there. So those kind of kids and old people may be a little bit difficult to transport because disabilities and things like that. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to concentrate more as moving as a group versus moving by yourself. I think moving by yourself is something, I guess, pretty simple. If you do it by yourself, not too much to talk about that. But moving as a group, guys, definitely a difficult thing to do. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to break it down pretty much in 3 different categories. What I'm going to do is things that you should do before, things that you should do during the movement, and things that you should do after. So with that being said, the first thing, just like I said before, I think one of the biggest factors is to make sure that everybody is in the same page. Everyone has to have the same mission. In the military, you see guys conducting an operation. Everyone have that mission accomplished. Whatever mission it is, either may be transporting personnel or logistics from point A to point B. That is their mission, and they will get it accomplished. In this case, guys, we're talking about survival. So I think that everybody needs to be in the first, have the same mission, which it will be survive. What are you going to do to survive that situation? And with that being said, having that mentally, being prepared mentally to know that you would do anything that is required to survive. And a lot of guys, that may include taking the life of somebody else. If you get attacked by criminals, by whatever threat is out there, So people have to be prepared mentally to encounter this type of situation. Now I got to tell you guys, no matter how much preparedness you do, you're never going to be ready for it. It's definitely something that you're never going to be ready for, because in this type of situation, in a really bad bug out situation where people are getting killed, people getting raped, some criminals are stealing people's supplies and killing them. There's not really a possibility, and there's not really a training that you could conduct to be prepared for that. It's just not going to happen. But what I'm trying to say here is that you need to be prepared mentally to face that type of situation, because it may happen. And if it happens, you need to be ready for that, and you need to know how you're going to respond to that type of situation. Now, guys, some of the things that I will say during this before stage or phase, let's call it phase, before phase, will be to try to prepare as much as you can. Now, I know a lot of times we put the whole bugging out, we put the whole preparedness, the whole, storing food and weapons to the side. But having as much preparation will keep you alive, guys. I got to tell you, you got to be prepared for it. It could be as simple as duties. Just identifying who's going to do what. Now, we're talking about a family in this situation. We're talking about a group. With that being said, we're not talking about a squad of Marines that they are all prepared to face a situation. We're talking about children. We're talking about old people. So you need to identify who's going to do what. Who's going to take care of grandma? Maybe grandma needs a wheelchair. Who's going to pick up that wheelchair? Maybe she needs some medical supplies. Who's going to pick up those medical supplies? The children are very, very, very small. Who's going to take care of them? And obviously, mom would do that. But identifying a person that will assist mom is critical, because now everyone has a role and everyone knows what are they going to do. Now, not only you should identify roles to picking up grandma wheelchair, like I say, but you need to identify roles as who's gonna do what as security. For example, you could say, hey, look, dad and the big brothers, you guys are going to be the security aspects. Now they know that they need to be trained for that. Now that they have that security mission, they're going to continue. They're going to start training to accomplish that mission. Now I got to tell you guys, everyone should have a basic training, fundamentals, if you want to call it that way. Everyone should have some type of training, and it could be as simple as, we're talking about families, guys, so it could be simple as loading a gun and shooting a gun. Just knowing those aspects or how to handle a weapon could be extremely beneficial in some type of bug out situation. But identifying roles, like you guys are going to be security and you guys are going to be in charge of logistics, may allow those guys to become a little bit more experts, if you want. Well, let's not call it experts, but a little bit more knowledgeable when it comes to that information. Now everyone knows the basic, but dad and the two brothers know a little bit more about guns, and they will be the security aspects. When it comes to mom knows how to shoot a weapon, but she's going to take care of the logistics. So she's probably the one that's going to know how much food do we have, how much water do we have, how much, little things like that. Maybe we're bugging out in vehicles. Maybe you could identify a guy that will be in charge of vehicles. So that person knows to check the oil, to check, all the lubricants, to check, to have extra oil in the car, to have extra fuel. Things like that. That person will be responsible of those of that duty right there. I gotta tell you guys, you find yourself in a bug out patrol situation and a vehicle breakdown, that may get you killed. So little things like that, guys, are extremely important to know. Other duties may include who's gonna be in charge, guys. You don't want to have a couple of guys fighting. You want to have a leadership implemented. You want to know who is in charge of this detail or this family or whatever it is, so that person makes decisions. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, dad is in charge, so dad will make all the decisions. By no means. This is not a macho show or anything like that, but somebody's in charge. Definitely take input from everyone else, but maybe somebody's going to be taking decisions, and that's very important. You don't want to have a situation going on and people not making decisions. Not making a decision will get you killed, guys. I got to tell you. You know, all the things that you may want to identify, guys, is what kind of resources do you need? How much water do you need? How much food do you need? What kind of guns do you need? Not only you need, you know, several pistols, you may need a rifle for long shooting, kind of things like that. You may need different, a lot of different equipment that is going to help you survive that situation. So you need to identify all those things, guys. And I got to tell you, it is very important to identify that who's going to get what. I got to tell you, in 2003, during the war in Iraq, we used to get 1 bottle of water a day for a long time, for quite a good time. So having that discipline and having those logistics right now and knowing how much food each one is going to get may be important as well. You don't want to get run out of food and water. So all those things need to be talked before you actually have this bugging out situation, like all this what if scenarios. I got to tell you guys, there's a lot of things to talk about before you actually go into the bug out. So this is just a couple of points, guys. There's way more, and I'll tell you what, guys, I'll be here for 24 hours talking about how many more things you could talk about. Definitely inspections. You know, you need to have your gear inspected. You need to make sure that gear works. You need to make sure you have the proper caliber for the gun. You need to make sure if you have some type of flashlight that you have batteries. You have to make sure the flashlights work. You have to make sure the food is good. So inspections before you go into this bug out situation is definitely critical, guys. So with that being said, guys, after you do all this, and like I said, I just point out a bunch of details. There's way more than that. You may go into the actually. Hey, one more thing, guys. Training, something that I forgot to mention. Training, and I did mention a little bit of training, but training should be done before something happens. So when the bug out situation happens, people know what to do and how to do it. So like I said, guys, now we're going to go into the while moving. Now I got to tell you guys, again, moving with a family may be extremely difficult, mainly because we are not talking about, like I said, squad of Marines, highly trained, great physical fitness. We're not talking about those guys. We're talking about a family that may have individuals with issues. So we need to take that in consideration. Now it's probably going to be two different ways, guys. Moving on a patrol, moving on a vehicle, or moving on foot. Hopefully you could move inside a vehicle, because if you're moving in a vehicle, you could definitely pack a lot of things. You could definitely bring that wheelchair that I was talking from grandma. You could definitely bring a lot of supplies. If you're moving on foot, may be totally different, guys. Now we're talking about weight. That weight that you carry would slow you down. The slower you move, the more chances of criminals and bad guys have to cut up to you. So there's definitely going to be two different situations if you're moving on foot or you're moving in a vehicle, and that's definitely a totally separately video that we may talk about in the future. But you got to identify how you're going to be moving, and moving is going to be the most dangerous part, because you're going to go into into a route that you may not know. Even though you did some type of pre-inspection and you did most likely, if you really know the location you're going to, you probably did some type of security, some type of, you drove down in the street on the roads or whatever to make sure those roads were okay, and you probably know, you have a map and you have a lot of things that's going to help you do better. But I got to tell you guys, before you move, and we already in the second phase of moving, you already should have identified the location you're going, and you should have identified the routes you're going to take. Now, I wouldn't recommend you to only take one route. I would recommend you to have multiple routes, because you don't know what's going to happen. Maybe you're taking route 1 and something happened where you need to switch to route 2 because, route 1 may have some type of criminal or some type of enemy threat, so you have to switch around. So definitely you need to know where you're going and the routes, and hopefully you drove through those routes and you actually know them. One of those things that you could just drive by with your eyes closed, and you know everything about it. Because I got to tell you guys, you don't want to be riding in streets that you don't know anything about it. Because, not knowing, guys, confusion, again, could get you killed. So definitely we recommend you to move as fast as you can. But I want you guys to think about moving effectively. You don't want to move so fast that you lose accountability of your gear. You lose accountability of your personnel. You lose accountability of your supplies. You definitely don't want to do that. You want to move fast, but you want to have accountability of everyone. Remember, guys, the point is to bring everything, to include firearms, logistics, food, water, trucks, and personnel. The mission is to move them from point A to point B, so that you guys could have a better security. Because I'm assuming that the first place where you're bugging out from, that location got compromised. So you want to be able to move fast, but you want to be able to move effectively and have accountability of your gear. Now, guys, there's a lot of tactics when it comes down to moving. Again, it could be different between if it's on foot or if it's in a vehicle. But there is a lot of tactics. Now, I'm not going to sit up here and tell you guys, different tactics that I use when I did, security, protective service detail and things like that. I'm not going to go into that, but there's a lot of tactics. Simply just having an appointment or having some type of scout vehicle out there looking for the bad guys may be something good. If you have somebody out there reconnaissance that area or looking for the bad guy and passing information to you guys in the back, may be good. Again, guys, the point will be to identify the bad guys before the main body, before your family members get there. So you may have daddy and the two brothers out there looking for the bad guys just to make sure that it's safe as the family come through. But again, guys, there's many different tactics out there, and many different ways to do that for sure. But I guess it will be the biggest thing, guys, I got to tell you, while moving, the biggest thing will be to move effectively, to move fast, to know where you're going, and most definitely to know the route. You don't want to get confused on where you're going. And remember, you're gonna have to move as fast as, if you're on foot, as fast as the slowest person. So try to move as effectively as you can, guys. Now, I gotta tell you guys, going into the final stage, when you make it to that location, you just made it there. Now you at this location, you made it safe and sound. I would recommend you to do a couple of things if you actually make it there with no incidents. The first thing, guys, is gonna be to do accountability again. As soon as you make it there, I would definitely do another accountability. I want to make sure that everyone made it. I want to make sure that, some kind of way someone didn't come out of the car to maybe use the bathroom or something, and then we took off and we left in there. So I would definitely do some type of accountability. Not only of personnel, but I also will count my supplies, my firearms, and everything that I have, guys, because I got to tell you guys, again, we want to make sure we have accountability. We don't know how long we're going to be there. So that may be the only supplies that we have for quite some time. So we need to prepare for that. Again, if we waste some of the supplies, like we probably use fuel, maybe we want to start planning to replace those supplies. Maybe that means that you're going to have to go into some fuel farms or fuel station and try to acquire some of that fuel again to be ready to bug out again. You never know what's going to happen, guys. You may have to bug out again. So you want to have accountability, and you want to identify whatever issues you have and whatever you actually spend. Now, another thing that I would do, guys, is establish some type of security. If you are actually in a bug out situation, you actually had to left your location because something bad happened, the chances of something bad happening at that location is very, very good as well. So definitely having security, definitely establishing some type of 24/7 security, maybe some type of roving patrol where you got a guy walking around your compound, maybe some type of fire watch, so where you have somebody at nighttime doing security to make sure no one comes into your house, into that location. It's definitely a good idea. Finally, guys, I will do an after action report, and an after action report will be just simply identifying some things that you did right and identify some things that you did wrong. And the way you do this, guys, is that you get everyone and you sit down and you talk and you just ask that question: what did we did right? And then those things that you did right, continue to do those things. What do you did wrong? Well, what did we did wrong? Write those things down and identify ways to make those wrongs, make them right. So if something that we did wrong was that we took too much time loading into the vehicle, maybe we know that in the next time, and now we need to dedicate more time to getting, loading into the vehicle. Or maybe we need to do some training where we start loading everything into the vehicle so everyone knows where everything goes, where my pack goes, where your pack goes, and things like that. So having an after action report, definitely very, very critical, as well as collecting basic intelligence, guys. I got to tell you, basic intelligence. Just collect some of the information that you saw out there. What do we saw? What happened out there doing our bugging out? Write those things down and have that intelligence, because you never know when you're going to have to use that type of intelligence in the future. Maybe there were some guys washing the truck, truck number 3, as you guys were driving out, and maybe those guys will be possible criminals in the future and would try to go into your compound and try to steal your stuff. So the fact that those guys were washing your bugging out crew, that will give you some intel to be careful in the future. So definitely, guys, I appreciate you guys watching. It's just a couple of points, guys. It's kind of hard to talk about this because, again, this type of situation or this type of training, this type of situation is something that you can prepare as much as you can, but there's always going to be mistakes. There's always going to be issues. You got to keep in mind, the key will be to identify those issues, make decisions, and adapt and overcome to that situation. So if you plan to do something this way, but something happened wrong, make a decision and do it all the way. And that's the key, guys. I got to tell you, I used to tell people all the time doing close combat training and things like that, when you go inside a room, one guy is going to go left, one guy is going to go right, and I'm talking about clearing a house. So what I used to tell people all the time, your job in the front may be go left, my job may be go right. But if the guy in the front goes right, you go left. Adapting to the situation, making a decision, and getting the job accomplished, the mission accomplished, is the key. So keep that in mind, guys. There may be mistakes, but just make a decision and go from it. Definitely is a lot of more points that I didn't cover. Definitely is a lot of more information that I didn't talk about. But I got to tell you, guys, I'm coming up to 25 minutes, and this is definitely a multiple series of videos. If you guys got any videos you guys want to do as a video response, post them down below. Let me know. I definitely appreciate you guys watching. As always, if you like this type of videos, please click like. I appreciate your support. Share this channel, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and as always, God is in control.